What's going on, guys? Welcome back to W.D.Y.D. CSP. What do you do as a central store processor? Guys, we're going back to basics in the prep and pack side with suctions. Alright guys, so we got our suctions. D-Con did a fantastic job manually cleaning. They placed it in an ultrasonic that has flushing capability. Threw it through the washer that doesn't have flushing capability, but here it is on our side, right? So what are we doing with our suction? What is our inspection of our suctions? Well, visually, guys, we want to make sure that the distal tip doesn't have any rough edges, that is nice and smooth, nothing sharp on there, nothing that's jagged or catching on anything. You want to make sure that the shaft itself doesn't have any major bends in it or dents in it. I don't want to say bends, I want to say dents. Any major dents or extreme bends that cause kinking in there, all right? So some of these are malleable and they can be bent, but if there's a very sharp bend on it, it's gonna impair the suctioning capability of it, and it's no good to anyone. All right, so you're inspecting. I'm gonna use this one for an example. You're inspecting that distal tip for any soils. You're checking the externals for any damages. Okay, your handy dandy lighted magnification for any of them that have actual weld points on there, right? If they have weld points, you want to make sure those weld points are intact, not cracking, not broken, and everything is nice and tight, right? For the suctions that can be assembled, you want to make sure that you can reassemble them, right? Okay, nothing's catching, nothing feels rough on there. All right, make sure that they did disassemble it in D-Con, okay, and then disassemble it. Check those threads in there. Now you have two devices that you have to check the inside for cleanliness, right? If it has ports in the end, make sure there's nothing lodged up on the ports. For suctions with regulating ports, you want to check for adhesive, right? That is a trick of the trade that they'll put a piece of tape over that to keep it on suction mode the whole time. Forget to take it off. It goes to D-Con. They pre-treated it. There's water. It's very hard to see that adhesive on the prep and pack side. That's when we usually catch it. You want to remove as much of that as possible and then send it back to decontamination and let them clean that, right? Help them out a little bit, right? Just make sure you do it away from your field, okay? So we've inspected the external components of our suction. Now it's time to check if it's really clean. We have to check internally. There are 4 ways that you can check internally for cleanliness. Okay, and I'm gonna go from the basic to the most advanced, right? So the basic is the flushing method, right? So the flushing method is that you draw up some store water, not alcohol, guys, store water. Okay, you either have a little bowl to capture your solution into when you're flushing, or you do it over a trash can with a white liner, right? You're gonna draw up some store water. You're gonna go ahead and connect it to that end of that suction. If it has a regulator port, make sure that you hold on to that regulator port, and you're gonna slowly flush that instrument to see if anything comes out. Okay, you're gonna do that several times to make sure that if anything can dislodge, it's gonna dislodge and come out onto that white liner or discolor that white liner in any way to know that it is clean. Problem with that if the soil's already dried in there, okay, with the smaller suctions, you may be able to get away and know that, because when you try to flush, you're not gonna be able to go nowhere with it. Or it's just dried enough in there that you can flush it, but it's not gonna dislodge. Okay, that's your flushing method. Okay, method number 2 is the one that I totally am against, and we can speak on this some other time, is flushing it with instrument air. Okay, I am totally against flushing at the workstation with instrument air. Okay, but it's the same way that we do with flushing with store water. We do it over a trash can with a white liner on there. Okay, and we go ahead, connect the air hose on there and give it a couple bursts to see if anything comes out onto that white liner. Okay, instrument air at the workstation, big pet peeve of mine. Not a big fan of it. Okay, again, do not inspect with the stylets. The stylets are for use in the surgical field, not in prep and pack or in decontamination. So going on to the third method. The third method is probably the biggest controversial of them all, and one that many people have gotten cited for with the Joint Commission. The use of brushes or pipe cleaners over in the prep and pack side for inspection. Okay, there is a way to implement this technique and be able to pass a Joint Commission survey. Your policy has to be super, super tight, guys. All right? And this is the way I've done it at other facilities and been able to pass Joint Commission surveys with. You have to have brushes that are completely distinguishable from the ones that you use in the decontamination side. Hey, for all you lean individuals out there, this should be a no-brainer for you guys. You want to create a visual so that if this brush ever winds up in the decon side, there's a problem. Or if this brush ever winds up in a prep and pack side, there's a problem, because we've established that in policy that these brushes are for cleaning and these brushes are for inspection. Now, we can use the little pipe bed cleaners, but these things shed really, really easily. I really don't like them. I'm not a big fan of these. But the way this would work on the field, and I didn't use these specific ones right here. These are ones available. I actually used the ones with the colored bristles on there, blue colored bristles. I had all the sizes, and I had it on the actual brush hangers labeled for inspection purposes only. And this is what the policy would look like. So you would go ahead and use the brush over a white liner away from the rest of the instruments, and you would slowly advance that brush until it exits the other side of the instrument. Okay? Upon inspection of that bristle on the other side, if any debris is seen on there, you would stop immediately, put the whole set back, and take it back to decontamination. In decontamination, this inspection brush would be removed, discarded, and then the appropriate cleaning brush in decontamination would be used to clean the item. Okay? The inspection brush would never be used to clean. Okay? That is a violation. That is a break in policy. That's not what happens. Okay? So that's a way you can implement the brushes, right? Lastly is the most advanced way, right? No, two advanced ways. I'm sorry, there's two more advanced ways. Borescopes. You can use borescopes to check in there, right? But the thing with borescopes is you can't go down every single cannula, right? So you got cannulas such as this. You're not going to get a borescope down there, right? This is a 3 and a 5 French, and I'm going to check on this 5 French because I have a 0.8 millimeter fiber optic borescope, smallest one out in the market, and I don't believe it can go down this 5 French. I'll confirm that, but what do? You don't have a borescope that's small enough to go there, but you do have brushes that can go down at least this one. Not sure about this one. This one you would still have to use the flushing motion, the flushing concept on it. And then now we have the last one. The last one you can use with anyone, and that's your soil testing, and probably the one that we should all adapt. With soil testing, we can go ahead and draw up some sterile water or whatever solution is recommended by the IFU. We go ahead and flush our instrument and capture that solution in a little container where we would dip a Q-tip style tester in there and then get a result once we put it into the medium. So we can do protein testing that way. We can do hemoglobin testing that way. There's ATP testing that way. ATP, actually, you run a little brush down the cannula, cut off the tip into the collection tubing and get a reading. If you can't do that, then there's a flush method that you can use as well to collect that water and test. But that is the one that probably is the most feasible, but it's also the most expensive one, because imagine doing that with every single cannula. It can take some time. You know, all the other methods you can probably breeze through it a little bit faster, but that testing method can take some time. But anyway, guys, that's all I have for you over here in the prep and pack side. As always, stay true to yourselves. Keep it 100. Continue educating yourselves. And until next time, peace.